My dad is a murderer. He had top-tier medical skills, but on the day my mom was hemorrhaging to death, he turned around and ran off to give another pregnant woman a prenatal massage. Later, that pregnant woman successfully gave birth to a daughter. Meanwhile, my mom died on a cold operating table. It wasn't until the next day that the people collecting bodies discovered I still had a breath of life left in my belly. For 40 years, Grandma raised me with her calloused hands. She put me through the country's top medical university. The day I became the nation's leading obstetric specialist, a girl in difficult labor came to the hospital. Her husband grabbed my hand, his voice desperate. "Dr. Sally, only you can save my wife." I carefully flipped through the medical records. When I reached the name and address section, I froze. I stared at the girl's photo for a long time. Then I lifted my head and said softly, "I'm sorry, I can't save her." The man's expression instantly stiffened, as if he couldn't believe his ears. "What did you say?" "My wife's life is hanging by a thread, and you're the best doctor in the country. Why won't you save her?" I turned my head, my gaze sweeping over the person lying on the hospital bed. The girl's face was deathly pale, breathing weakly. Her eyebrows, nose bridge, even the slightly drooping corners of her eyes, they were all identical to that person. I withdrew my gaze and flipped through the scheduling chart in my hand. Before you arrived, another pregnant woman in labor had already completed her admission procedures and is waiting in the operating room. I need to perform surgery on her first. The department head rushed through the door. He first nodded and smiled at the man. Then he quickly walked to my side and lowered his voice. "Do you know who you're dealing with?" The heir to this city's renowned pharmaceutical conglomerate. They have extensive business dealings with the hospital. His wife is also Mr. Johnson's daughter. Mr. Johnson has practiced medicine for 50 years with countless honors. He's called a national treasure-level medical doctor. Surely you know this. The director paused, his tone growing more serious. "They specifically requested you to operate because they trust your skills. That ordinary pregnant woman, just turn her away. I'll arrange another doctor." He was deliberately smoothing things over, naturally speaking for both parties to hear. Hearing this, the man's expression eased slightly. An arrogant, contemptuous look unconsciously surfaced on his face. My gaze remained calm, seemingly unfazed by the visitor's background. My voice rang particularly clear in the quiet examination room. "Director, we're a public hospital." The refusal in those words was obvious. The director froze, not expecting me to be so unreasonable. He grew anxious. "Dr. Sally, you need to learn flexibility." I paused, my fists unconsciously clenching tight. This is a hospital for saving lives, not a private clinic where people can pull strings at will. The pregnant woman ahead of you has been waiting 2 months for my schedule. I'm the hospital's chief physician. I should uphold the baseline of medical practice even more. My words instantly dropped the examination room's atmosphere to freezing point. The man beside us turned completely grim. He laughed coldly. "Dr. Sally, did I hear you correctly? The Brown family has donated funds to buy equipment and support research projects for years, investing countless resources. Now my wife's life is at stake, yet we can't even get priority? Tell me, what kind of logic is that?" I organized the medical records in my hands, not even raising an eyelid. Resource donations are business collaborations. And your wealth and background. I shook my head. Cannot override my principles. The man was left speechless by my words. Fury completely rushed to his head. He stared at me intently. "Good. How very principled of you." He sneered through gritted teeth. "Sally, don't regret this." The man turned and left. Seeing this, the director glared at me with disappointment. "Do you know what kind of people you've offended? They only need to lift a finger to make sure you can never hold your head up in this profession." I'll stabilize Mr. Brown's wife for labor first. When you've come to your senses, go apologize and then prepare for surgery. I slowly lifted my head. I will prepare for surgery, but not for them. The director understood my choice. He gritted his teeth and quickly chased after the man. Sally, you're finished. Offending the powerful, he probably thought I was seeking my own death. Little did he know I'd been waiting for this day for a very long time. Just after finishing the pre-surgery consultation, a woman dressed in expensive clothing walked into the department. The director respectfully opened the door for her, then called all the idle staff outside. I also stood to leave, but was stopped. Sally, this is Mr. Johnson's wife, Mrs. Laura. She also carries great weight in the industry. You two should talk. With that, he gently closed the door. I looked up at the visitor, clearer than anyone about her identity. Laura, the female heir to the country's largest pharmaceutical conglomerate. Decades ago, the kind of person who could command wind and rain in the industry. Her hair was styled in a fashionable curled bob, a Cartier bracelet on her wrist. She looked much younger than her actual age, well maintained. Dr. Sally. She sat down across from me. Her posture carried the arrogance that only absolute confidence could nurture. I hope you'll perform surgery on my daughter. Along with her words came a recommendation letter placed before me. This was the threshold to entering the Academy of Sciences. Its weight was substantial. She looked at me, her eyes full of certainty and disdain. I lifted my head without looking at the recommendation letter. Mrs. Laura, I already have an appointment for my next surgery. Your daughter, I'm unable to help. At these words, Laura's expression darkened. Only then did she truly look at me, sizing me up from head to toe. Dr. Sally, why make things difficult for your own future? Even if you help those bottom feeders 1,000, 10,000 times, it won't be as worthwhile as operating on my daughter once. I know you have concerns. I'll handle that pregnant woman. Laura's tone was casual, as if that person wasn't a living human being, but an ant that could be crushed at will. Just like my mother. She died on a cold operating table with no one caring. Even her husband, driven by self-interest, cruelly abandoned her. In that desperate situation, all she could do was fight with everything she had to secure a thread of life for the child in her womb. I laughed lightly and asked without humility or arrogance, Mrs. Laura, you're so skilled at this speech. I wonder, how many people's corpses did you step on to get where you are today? Laura's expression completely darkened. She leaned back against the chair, looking down at me from above. The feigned reasonableness vanished, revealing her mean, hypocritical, true face. Do you think you climbed to your current position entirely by yourself? I looked at her, my expression calm. If my daughter hadn't chosen to start a family, with her credentials and background, the chief physician position would never have been your turn. Laura's fingers lightly tapped the table as she scoffed. You need to understand, with our family's background and connections, destroying you is as easy as moving a finger. I don't care if you climb to this position through sleeping your way up or whatever despicable means, but if you dare put on airs and flaunt principles in front of me, I'll make you cry miserably. I organized the patient files in my hands, nodded, and stood up. Mrs. Laura, my principles won't change. Please leave. I need to perform surgery now. If just a few threatening words and bribes could make me compromise, I wouldn't only be letting down my patients, I'd be letting down my mother even more. She endured excruciating pain and used a scalpel to cut open her own abdomen, trading her life for mine. I would never allow her child to bow to her enemy. Laura's eyes suddenly turned cold, laced with chilling intent. Rejecting kindness, acting like a saint while being a hypocrite. Just wait and see. I want to see how long you can stay smug. She grabbed her rare leather handbag and slammed the door as she left. The deafening sound rang in my ears. My whole body trembled. Not from fear, but from excitement. Because I knew I was about to meet the real murderer who killed my mother. Soon, the hospital director came striding over with an ashen face. He stopped directly in front of me, his tone brooking no argument. "Sally, this is my final warning. Go perform surgery on Mr. Johnson's daughter immediately." I was writing notes in the medical records, not even lifting my head. The hospital has its rules and regulations. As the director, you shouldn't be the one breaking the boundaries. Seeing I remained unmoved, he panted heavily. "Do you know who Mr. Johnson is?" "A renowned physician in domestic obstetrics, practicing for 50 years, saving tens of thousands of mothers and newborns. He's the most respected senior in the entire medical field. With his status and connections, he doesn't even need to act himself. Countless people in the industry will fight to teach you a lesson. By doing this, you're not just harming yourself, you'll drag the entire hospital down. Saving countless mothers, yet abandoning his own wife pregnant for 10 months. He wasn't a renowned physician. He was a murderer." I couldn't help but scoff. Seeing I was unmoved, the director issued his ultimatum. "If you insist on this, the hospital will terminate your position and revoke all your medical honors." I took a deep breath and put on my surgical gown. I turned and headed to the disinfection area. Within 10 minutes, an elegant, elderly figure walked in. Johnson stood tall with gentle features, the saintly physician everyone praised. That face, I'd remembered it for 40 years, hated it for 40 years. Every midnight dream left me nauseated with hatred. He walked to my side, his tone composed and assured. "Young lady, you're very capable. As a fellow doctor who saves lives, I admire you very much. But I don't want this pride of yours to destroy you." He calmly put on rubber gloves, his tone steady, carrying the pressure of an elder. "There's still one last chance. I'll operate on your pregnant woman, and you operate on my daughter. I've lived my whole life with a clear conscience. This is the only time I'm overstepping bounds. I only ask you to save my daughter, who's also in labor. I promise I'll remember this debt and ensure your future is secure." He wore an expression of sincerity and pain. But I wasn't moved in the slightest. I only felt disgusted. She could have had a better life, but she worked 3 jobs a day to put you through medical school. When you had nothing, she was still willing to suffer alongside you. She waited with joy for her husband to welcome their daughter together, only to be cruelly abandoned. When you were sweet with your mistress, did you ever think about how much pain she was in? I stared at the disinfectant in the sink. You say you've lived your whole life with a clear conscience. I laughed coldly, then turned my head and said word by word. What about all those innocent souls you killed while climbing up? Johnson's face stiffened. His voice suddenly turned harsh, revealing his true face beneath the skin. Who exactly are you? I stared into his eyes, but didn't see any answers there. I suppose when you've done so many guilty deeds, you can't even recognize the daughter you nearly killed all those years ago. The corner of my mouth carried mockery. What do you think? In less than 2 seconds, Johnson calmed down again. His eyes held disdain and contempt. I've seen plenty of troublemakers like you. Without evidence, you're nothing but a clown. In the end, won't you come begging me to spare you? It seemed over the years he dealt with quite a few suffering people seeking justice. But he didn't know that even the tightest net has gaps. That child who should have become a wronged ghost. She's come carrying her mother's hatred to collect his debt. I slowly exhaled. Mr. Johnson, who wins and who loses, that's not certain yet. He looked at me, narrowing his eyes. Then he snorted coldly with ambiguous meaning. You brought this on yourself. I entered the ordinary operating room for the pregnant woman. Johnson walked toward the special treatment room for his daughter. Disinfecting, lifting the scalpel, suturing. Every step, I gave my full concentration, abandoning all distractions from my mind. I wasn't just saving an ordinary mother. I was saving my mother, who had been helpless all those years ago. The surgery ended. Mother and child were safe. Everything went smoothly. But the moment I walked out of the operating room, a wave of public opinion and online harassment swept across the entire internet. A post published by a hospital staff member went viral online. The title read, "Renowned physician Mr. Johnson's daughter's life hangs by a thread. Maliciously refused treatment by female doctor. Chilling." The post didn't mention first come, first served at all. The lengthy text described how I turned a blind eye to a critically ill patient and insisted on refusing to perform surgery. After learning the patient was renowned physician Mr. Johnson's daughter, I even angrily accused them of trying to use their status to cut in line. The accompanying image was a high-definition photo. In the frame, Johnson was bowing and pleading, tears at the corners of his eyes. Meanwhile, I looked cold and mocking. The trending topic instantly dominated the feeds, occupying the top of the charts within half an hour. Countless netizens flooded the comments with wanton abuse, public opinion completely one-sided. Some were heartbroken. Mr. Johnson practiced medicine for 50 years, saving countless mothers and infants, protecting countless families' happiness. Now his own daughter is in critical labor and life-or-death crisis, yet he's publicly humiliated by a doctor. How heartbreaking. Some made malicious speculations. Sally climbed to chief physician at such a young age, definitely through connections and sleeping her way up. This time she's kicked an iron plate. Even more people banded together, jointly calling for the hospital to severely punish me. They would never allow someone with corrupt morals to taint the medical profession. Gossip and slander filled the sky, instantly crushing my years of effort and honors to dust. The hospital swiftly issued an official announcement. After investigation by the hospital, physician Sally lacks professional integrity and has deplorable medical ethics. She is hereby immediately dismissed and permanently barred from employment. As soon as the announcement went out, the entire internet cheered. I stared at the faintly glowing phone screen where there was a text from an unknown source. "Fight with me? You're not qualified. From now on, I'll make you completely disappear from this industry. Grandma brought me a plate of pasta. Sally, eat something. You haven't eaten all day." Her voice was hoarse, full of heartache. "We can't fight them. How about we just let it go?" I gripped Grandma's hand in return. The rough calluses scraped my palm raw. Those were her medals from raising me single-handedly. "No," I said. "We'll win. Mom has been waiting for this day for 40 years. The next day, the hospital arranged a media interview with Johnson's family on site. The location was the obstetrics ward. Mr. Johnson's daughter, Mia, had awakened and lay weakly in bed. Brown held the baby, standing at her side. Laura and Johnson sat on the soft stools nearby. Behind them hung several silk banners. They read, "Benevolent Heart Saving the World, Healing the Dying and Wounded." The director personally attended, his tone sincere and solemn. Here, on behalf of the entire hospital, I formally apologize to Mr. Johnson and his family. Our hospital failed in due diligence and personnel vetting, disappointing Mr. Johnson's benevolent heart and betraying everyone's trust in our hospital. These banners represent the hospital sentiments, symbolizing our respect for you and expressing the gratitude of countless patients you've saved from the brink of death. These words fell, and the atmosphere grew more solemn. Johnson slowly raised his hand, adopting the magnanimous posture of a senior. His voice was gentle, carrying tolerance. I also climbed up from the bottom step by step that I deeply understand how difficult practicing medicine is. I've always been willing to be tolerant of younger generations, giving young people chances to correct mistakes and grow. The audience was moved by his broad-mindedness. But then Johnson's tone suddenly shifted, his eyes filled with deep disappointment and helplessness. But I'm truly heartbroken. The foundation of being a physician is maintaining kindness and upholding principles. Yet some young doctors today, once they achieve a little success, become arrogant and abandon the most fundamental medical ethics. It's truly disheartening. The live stream chat instantly exploded. This is heartbreaking. Mr. Johnson spent his whole life saving people, and in the end, he has to suffer this kind of grievance. The older generation of physicians' character and professionalism, some people will never learn it in their lifetime. Next, the reporter asked about Mia's feelings. Hearing this, she gently gripped the bedding. Her voice was soft yet forceful, her gaze determined. Thank you, director and everyone, for your understanding, but I cannot generously forgive this matter. Her voice trembled slightly. This difficult labor was extremely high risk. If an ordinary doctor had operated, I most likely wouldn't have survived. If my father, over 70 years old, hadn't personally operated on me, I wouldn't be alive today. She turned toward the camera, eyes reddening. My father devoted his entire life to medical care with a clear conscience. Yet in his old age, he has to watch his daughter in danger and lower himself to beg others. I cannot swallow this grievance. After a pause, her tone became firm and resolute. My father is magnanimous, but I cannot allow injustice to spread unchecked. I will formally submit materials and sue Sally. Make her pay the legal price she deserves. These words rang powerfully, instantly igniting the live stream. Worthy of being Mr. Johnson's daughter, such spirit. Support defending rights. Sally must be severely punished. Seeing the timing was right, I pushed the door open directly. I was the first to applaud. What a performance of impartiality and physician's benevolent heart. Everyone turned to look. Seeing who it was, Mia frowned and demanded, Sally, you still have the nerve to show up. I laughed lightly, mockery flashing in my eyes as I looked straight at Johnson. Clear conscience. Then, do you remember the wife you abandoned to curry favor with the powerful, the one who died miserably on the operating table?